Hey guys, I know I am super late. But guys, I'm sorry. I apologize. I started cooking and I had to get my meal complete for the hubby. So I hope you guys could forgive me. Please forgive me. But I'd rather have his meal cook and he be happy instead of me doing all this extra stuff on here than have a quarrelsome home. Didn't want that. So please, I hope you guys forgive me. Where's Dom? Dom is supposed to be on here with me. Let me see where he's at. All right, guys, I got some updates for you guys. And just bear with me a second. Okay. All right, family first. Tell him two-step. Tell him. Because a happy home makes everything okay. Get what I'm saying? I had no excuse of not having the food ready. Been on the phone all day, been playing around all day, so I need to get my home together. Sorry about that, guys. But hello everybody. As you guys can see, we have some updates and we have some correction to do for some folks who's been putting out lies, right? Putting out these clickbait fake stuff and it's affecting people's lives. Okay. First I want to start off with talking about Mr. Kelly. You guys know yesterday was a hearing that was done, and I was looking at the news, right? And they were saying that he is the one that requested for his friend to visit and all this jumbo stuff. But as you guys could recall, it's Daryl McDavid's attorney that put that paperwork in. It was Daryl McDavid's attorney who put that paperwork in, right? But you know what? Daryl McDavid's name would not pull people to look at the article, so they had to put Mr. Kelly name in and put him as being the one who initiated the visitation. Strange, right? But we know the truth. We know the truth. It was was Daryl McDavid's attorney who submitted that paperwork because it has Bo Brentley at the bottom of it. He initiated it. And most of the discussion was discussed about how Daryl McDavid was found not guilty on all counts of his charges. So to make the correction for the news people, it was Daryl McDavid's attorney who submitted that request, right? Okay, let me see 1 second. Okay, now, next, when the media going to stop lying, so I don't know, Cynthia. I don't know. The other correction I want to do is I was hoping Dom would come in here because he did speak with someone that is close to the case and regarding to Boosie's case, because there was some lies put out on that. But you know what? Since I have this stuff up, do you guys remember a few weeks ago there was a big story on regarding to Shirley Strawberry's husband? Remember that? Ernesto William. You hear me, but you don't see me? I'm in the dark. See, I'm in the dark. It's hot in here, so I'm in the dark. Do you want to see me? Oh, Lord. I was trying to stay off the camera. I apologize, but I was trying to stay off the camera. She said, yes, we hear you, but we don't see you. But you just saw me just now, right? But okay, let me go on to the next one. Ernesto. He had a total of almost not 200, almost 52 charges that was against him. In fact, and there was like 2 indictments, right? And you remember when they said that they had set like 15 more charges that was going to come down. Well, those 15 charges did come down, right? But here's the deal. They never went to the grand jury to get an indictment, so none of these charges have been indicted. And guess what? Monday is supposed to be a hearing on those charges, right? Well, it doesn't even look like they're even going to have a hearing, because according to the paperwork that I found in the courtroom, in the court record, the detective who is in charge of that particular case, who is, got all the evidence and things like that, will not be available for the hearing on Monday, and there's a hearing on the 4th. So the state have put in a request for a continuance for 2 weeks. So this man still have not been charged for the R rhymes with grape, the grape charges, and the child blank 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 charges. Remember that? The one where they said for him to stay away from animals and all this kind of stuff, those charges, right? Those charges have not come down yet. They have not been an indictment. They have not gone to the grand jury for indictment. The things that have gone to the grand jury is the forgery, the credit repair, and those are the things that have come down. So those are the items that they're waiting for. The grape one, they have not been brought in. So therefore, we're still waiting. So we don't know what the outcome is right now. We don't know if they're gonna charge him, but he was arraigned for the other charges and not this one. The 2 that we discussed. I mean, the one that's inappropriate. Those have not been charged. All right. So now I know a lot of you guys are waiting on the Boosie stuff, right? I was waiting for Dom to come on in, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys what's going on his case. Well, let's hold off for a minute. Let's go ahead on and do Mr. Kelly's. As far as Mr. Kelly, Jennifer has asked for an extension, a few days extension, so he can submit additional paperwork. So the date is no longer August 2nd, which is supposed to be next week. It's going to be the following week, August 6th. She was approved already for the extension of additional, because it's going to be a larger file. So they did approve it. And so they give her an extra couple of days to submit it. So the new deadline date is on August the 6th. August the 6th is the deadline for her to submit the Illinois brief. Now, as far as the New York, both parties have requested an oral. So that means there's going to be an oral hearing between the dates of November 2023 to March 2024. So between those dates is when they're going to do an oral argument to argue their stance on the brief. And most likely, I think that part is televised. And if it's televised on the internet, I will provide you guys with the link so you guys can go view it yourself, because in the federal, we cannot rebroadcast it. So anytime someone rebroadcasts it, they're violating the law, and because it's against the law for us to rebroadcast, to record, even post it. So I will give you the link, and you can go view it yourself. Okay. No, I said March 2024. From November 2023 to March 2024. That's between they haven't given a date yet. So but that's the time frame. It could be November, it could be December, it could be January, it could be February, it could be March. It could be between any of those months. They have not decided exactly what date yet. Once I get that date, I will give you guys that information, and then I will give you the website. 24 March 2023. November 2023 to March 2024. March 8th, in fact. March 8th, 2024. But it could be November. They could not have anything going on and they give them a November date. So that's going to be the oral argument. And after the oral argument, that's when they will come back and give their verdict of what. And after, it usually takes a few months for those to come back. About what, 3 or 4 months, depends how big it is. Can the judge make a decision without an argument? They're asking for an argument. Judge can, but they're asking for an argument. They want to argue their stance. Yep, the judge can make the but because they asked for it, they're going to be given the chance to argue it. "111" is the chat. That's alignment. What are you? There's 113 in the chat. What are you talking about? Okay. Oh, you guys know that the judge. You guys already know about that. The judge denied that because it's not the judge's jurisdiction. I mean, the judge mentioned it before. They don't have any control of what happens inside the jail, the prison. They don't have any control. It's the warden. It's their territory. Okay, now. Remember today was supposed to be a status hearing in regards to Boosie. Okay. According to Boosie's attorney, we do have to give you a Young Thug's update too. But I'm gonna do Thugs last because I got footage for y'all for Thug. That's why I haven't said anything with Thugs yet. You guys remember Boosie's attorney submitted paperwork for a dismissal. Why would, because I heard somebody saying that someone put out that Boosie was taking a plea. Why would a plea be taken when his attorney put in for a dismissal? I mean, we got to make sense. Cynthia, we do see you. I think it was a mistake. Jumbo Paperclip made a mistake and timed you out. She apologized. Why would there be a plea agreement when the attorney put in for a case to be dismissed? Does that make sense, y'all? That does not make sense. So anybody that you hear putting out these fake clips and clickbait statements and stuff like that. Don't believe that mess. There was nothing in the paperwork. I look at the paperwork. There's nothing in the paperwork about it. And Dom was going to bring you guys update on it, but he has not come in yet. But as far as the paperwork, it does not reflect any kind of plea deal. So, guys, please tell those people stop it. Stop it. The man is dealing with enough instead of all this craziness. Stop it. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Okay. Now we're going to move over to YoungThug. You guys know they are in the voir dire process time. Voir dire is when they take the individual juror and question them based on what they put down in the questionnaire. There have been some interesting individuals that's come through here, and I'm going to share some of those with you guys tonight because you guys gonna I tickle at some of them because some of them are brutally honest. You know, it's like, wow, did they just say that? Yeah, there's one particular person I really want you guys to hear because this guy was not playing. He was not playing. He told about I'm gonna let you guys listen to it for yourself. Then you're gonna be like, what? Did he say that? Really? Oh my goodness. What? And he was blunt. And then guess what? He was moved to the next stage. He was moved to the next stage, y'all. To the next stage. So can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Shout out to all the people that's in the chat. Shout out to Boosie folks. Shout out to R. Kelly folks. Shout out to YoungThug folks. Shout out to everybody for the different arena, the different type of cases that we have. And shout out to even Charlie Strawberry people. I don't know if anybody's Nesto folks, but but shout out to every single one of you guys. I'm going to go ahead and get this ready so I can school it up for you guys to hear what they have to say. And I am going to it's going to be a little it's very interesting. I'm just going to tell you guys right now. It's very, 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 very interesting. You guys gonna get a kick out of this. You're gonna be like, what? Oh, before I do that, I wanted to there was a motion submitted in by Thug's attorney and in regarding to hold on a second, let me just pull that up for you guys. 1 second.
First case today is appeal number 22-1748 RAI Strategic Holdings versus Philip Morris. Mr. Castanis.
Hold on a second.
Good morning, Your Honor, and may it please the court. Before we dig into each of these three cases today, first I wanted to make sure that the court is okay with us staying at our respective tables.
Hold on a second.
We're happily in the second one.
Sorry about that, y'all. Here it is.
Juror number 54, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Madam, do me a favor, pull your chair up and speak directly in the microphone so all of us can hear you, okay?
Okay.
Now, man, I know it feels kind of weird. I'm to your left, and you're probably, the natural inclination is to look at me, but if you could look into that mic or talk into that mic, everybody else can hear you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, all right. Now, I believe that you, were summoned on 1/9 of this year, is that correct?
Yes.
Came to fill out your questionnaire under oath that following week, is that correct? Does that sound about right?
Yes.
And I believe that we did examine you at some other period of time in terms of for hardship, is that correct?
No.
Did we talk with you a little bit about your employer's juror policy?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I want to follow up with you. Now, we have some information about you that you gave to us, like I indicated before, and I know that you work for Morgan Stanley, and I know that, I believe last time you mentioned they pay you about $150,000 a year. Does that sound all right?
Yes.
Okay, so I believe that you were going to get us the juror policy from Morgan Stanley. Do you have that at this point in time?
Yes.
Okay, what is Morgan Stanley's juror policy?
They pay you while you're on jury duty, your base salary.
So they pay your base salary the entirety of the time you're on jury duty, correct?
Yes.
All right. Did you make any bonus or anything like that, madam?
Yes.
Okay, the $150 that you quoted to us in an earlier session of court, is that base and bonus?
Yes, last year's. Yes.
Okay, how much did you make in bonus, if I could ask?
30,000.
Okay, 30,000. So would it be fair to say that if you were with us at least, up to 6 months or thereabouts, you would not be paid that bonus in some incremental amount? Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, I got to ask you some other questions that ordinarily would be none of my business, so please forgive me in advance. Madam, do you own a home and have a mortgage?
I have a home in New York with a mortgage.
A home with no mortgage. And
With a mortgage.
with a mortgage?
In New York, yes.
Okay.
I'm renting it out.
I'm sorry.
I rent it out.
You rent it out?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have another residence that you consider your principal residence?
I have an apartment in Atlanta.
I'm sorry?
I have an apartment here in Atlanta.
Okay, so you pay for rent for an apartment and utilities?
Yes.
What does that run you a month?
Everything all together usually runs me about $4,000 a month.
Okay. Madam, do you have any other extraordinary expenses, such as the upkeep on your rental home or any other, like a vehicle, like a car note or anything such as that?
Yes, I leased a vehicle.
Okay, and how much is that per month?
$400.
All right. Do you have any other extraordinary expenses that I need to know about?
No.
All right. So, and how much do the expenses run on the rental property that you have per month, if you know?
I pay the property manager $300, and he takes care of the property.
All right. Okay. And can I ask you how much you have in checking and savings at this point in time? Just ballpark. And there's a reason for me asking you these things. I know, you're probably asking, why is it I'm asking about your money? But can you tell us that?
30,000, yes.
Okay. Madam, if you were here with us up to 6 months or longer, would it be fair to say that you would lose your bonus amount paid you by Morgan Stanley?
Yes.
Would that cause you to dip into your checking and savings to pay your the expenses on your rental home, your rent and utilities for the place that you're living in Atlanta, your vehicle?
Yes.
Will that put you in financial peril or concern?
Eventually, yes.
And would that eventual peril or concern affect your ability to come into the four walls of this courtroom and provide these parties with your undivided attention? And before you answer that, let me tell you.
I'm stressed.
Yeah,
Yes.
but let me just kind of fill that for you. There's no right or wrong answers, just honest ones, and we'll accept whatever answer you give us.
Okay. So yes.
Okay. And do you believe that that might affect your ability to be fair and impartial, both to the state as well as to each individual defendant?
No,
Okay, but you could be fair and impartial, but the financial strain, eventual financial strain, would prevent you from listening to, or paying attention, giving the parties your undivided attention. Is that fair to say?
yes.
Okay, all right. Ms. Lambert, Ms. Hilton, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Any individual counsel have any other questions? May I excuse your 54 for hardship?
No objection.
Okay, madam, I'm going to excuse you for hardship and wish you all the best, okay?
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Mr. Randolph, 56 for us, please, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
They're waiting for the juror to come in. That's them typing. That's not me typing. That's them typing. I think that was the judge typing.
Okay, juror number 56, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right, sir, do me a favor, speak directly in the microphone so all of us can hear you. That'd be great, okay?
All right, sounds good.
That's perfect. Sir, you came for jury service initially, I want to say on 1/9, is that correct?
Correct.
Am I right? And then subsequent to that, about a week or so later, you filled out a very lengthy questionnaire under oath. Is that fair to say?
That's fair.
Okay, all right. And so what we're going to do this morning, juror number 56, is to follow up on some of the responses that you gave during that questionnaire under oath, okay?
Okay.
All right, so it's a general proposition, no right or wrong answers, just honest answers, and we'll be bound by whatever it is that you tell us, okay?
Okay.
All right, so, Ms. Lava, Ms. Hilton, ladies, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor, and good morning, juror number 56.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm well, thank you.
That's good.
You filled out your questionnaire and indicated that you received a master's degree from Suffolk University and your undergraduate degree was in political science from North Carolina A&T. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
And at North Carolina A&T, did you participate in any on-campus, any activities as it relates to the student body or the school in general?
No, not really, though. Yes.
No band, no anything like that? Okay.
I was all over in high school.
Okay, and then how did you participate in?
I was student body president. I ran track and also played in the band as well.
Okay, and you just didn't play in the band at North Carolina A&T?
Correct.
Okay,
I sustain the objection, just move on.
thank you, Judge.
Okay.
You also indicated that you have served as a political fundraising consultant. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about what that is.
I was working politics for like 7 to 10 years, so I was a political fundraiser for a lot of folks across the country.
Okay.
I did mostly state elected officials, well, state elected and also federal, across the country.
Okay. And if I read correctly, one of the officials that you worked as a political consultant for was out of Louisiana. Did I get that right?
There was one individual out of Louisiana, just one individual, was a friend of mine.
And how much time did you spend on your friend's campaign?
For a short period of time. It was a special election that was happening in Louisiana that he asked me to, that he was running for a position, and he asked me to. So it was probably less than 6 months or so, if I'm not mistaken.
And what year was that?
This took place about 3 years, I think 2.5, 3 years ago.
Okay. You indicated as well that you have worked with Delta Airlines for a good period of time.
Correct.
Okay. And have you, besides the current position that you hold with Delta Airlines, since filling out this form or since you started with Delta Airlines, have you held any other positions?
No.
Okay. How long did you work as a political fundraising consultant?
I did it for myself. I did it for about 1.5 to 2 years. Before that, I worked at a consulting firm on Capitol Hill in DC. And then I pretty much was on different campaigns when I was finishing up at Suffolk University for grad school. And then I continued on throughout the year. So it's so far back.
Okay.
It's not anything not currently right now that I haven't done anything political work.
Okay. And when were you in DC and when did you work for yourself?
Work for myself. So I've been with the company currently now for about 5 years. So maybe 7 years ago.
Okay.
Last time I was in DC. I started working with this current job right here. I relocated from Washington, DC to Georgia.
Okay. So that would be about 7 years ago that you were with DC.
About 6 or 7 years. Yeah,
I
6
stand the objection.
6 years ago, I was in DC. 7 years. It was about 6 or 7 years ago, I was in DC. So
Okay.
yeah, I've been here in Georgia for 4 or 5 years now. So
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. And you indicated in response to one of the questions, question number, I believe, 76. I will not ask you to do what you said you don't do, but I'm going to ask you why it is that you don't want to disclose your political affiliation.
I think that political affiliation is just it's just a personal question. I've been in business for so long. I was in business for a very long time. So despite someone's political views and where they stand, I'm just pretty much neutral. I'm always respect people's personal opinion or thought.
Okay, guys, could y'all type in the chat if you see and you hear everything, please? Because I don't know what's going on with the internet, with YouTube interfacing with StreamYard. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or a 1 if you hear, and if you see? You can see the chat, you can hear. Okay. Thank you, Red Bunny. Anybody else? Okay, Steph. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Lakita. Thank you, guys. I just want to make sure because it's acting crazy. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, Ashley. Okay, guys. Thank you. Alingra Thorn. Okay, thank you, guys. You don't see, you don't see Pretty Brown Eyes? Yeah, something's going on. Oh, the guy's a black guy. He's a black guy.
Process, and I'm not willing to prejudge or judge someone based on what they believe in, what they not believe in. As long as there's a respected line between both parties, including myself, then we're probably fine. I just worked in the business for so long, so I know how the whole thing operates on a national level to the state level. So I'm just pretty much strictly neutral when it comes down to political affiliations.
Thank you. And you indicated in response to question 105 on the questionnaire that the time that you've been in a courtroom other than for jury service was when you participated in moot court in high school.
Correct.
Did you intend or want to go into law during that time, or did you just tell me about it?
I was interested in probably working the court system at some point. Then when I went to school, I was interested either in broadcasting or political science. I didn't want to sit in front of the news, give the news all day. And then I chose to just do political science at that, and then also receive my graduate degree. But during that time, I was just interested when I was in high school as far as the community and what was going on. So moot court was a great idea to kind of see how things operated in North Carolina.
Okay.
Yes.
And on question number 109, you said that you are not familiar with this case. Since you filled out the questionnaire, and prior to filling it out, have you had no exposure whatsoever to anything about this case?
Correct.
Okay. And since filling out the questionnaire, you have had no exposure whatsoever?
What do you mean by exposure?
When you talked about the places that you get your information from, you mentioned news and the internet, things like that. So I'm asking whether or not you have seen anything on the news or on the internet about this case, or is it I'll leave it there.
Okay. I'm not familiar with this case. I was not familiar with this case before being summoned. Have I seen things out and about? Yes, but I have not looked into it or read about it or anything. Like I said, I'm a neutral and factual person.
Okay.
So.
And is it safe to say then you had no interest in the case?
Correct.
Okay. And in conjunction with that, to dovetail off that, question number 110, you said, with respect to having any opinion about anything here, I have no opinion since I do not know the case fully compared to what I heard last week. Could you just tell us what you meant by that portion of it?
Meaning that I didn't have any exposure to this case. I pretty much like to read articles. That's what I normally would do, especially if I'm flying across the world. I'm not willing to look at the news unless there's a major event. But other than that, I like to just formulate my own opinion and come with a neutral response to anything, though. But I like to stay fully aware, abreast about something's major going on. But most likely, I just pretty much read articles, the other reports, the course of the day.
Okay.
Yes.
And is the content of what you like to read the most going to be politics or something different?
It's keep it very broad. So look at Apple News. So the app. So I'll read national news, local news, what's going on, just to stay abreast what's going on, especially if I'm going travel in different states or different parts of the world, just to kind of know what's going on a little bit. I mean, I do still have friends in DC, so I kind of know what's kind of what's going on nationally. We have conversations, but that's in far between.
Okay. And is there any subject that you prefer more than any others as you're looking through the news?
Not really. I mean, I like sports.
Okay.
I like sports a lot, though, so kind of from that, but
Okay.
not really.
Question number 125. You were asked, are you familiar with a rapper who performs under the name YSL Lucci? Have you never heard of him? And how did you interpret, better yet, let me back up. What did you understand that question to mean? Are you familiar with this person?
No, I'm not familiar with the.
Never heard of.
Never heard of.
Okay. Now, number 126. So is it, having read the answer to 126, are you familiar with a rapper who performs under the name Lil Wayne? You check no there.
Lil Wayne?
Yes.
Oh, then that's incorrect. And that should be, I know who Lil Wayne is, so. Yeah.
Okay. And so how are you familiar with Lil Wayne?
Just name recognition that's around the world. Yeah, I think he carries the name that people are familiar with. So, yeah.
And as you were reading it, is it that you, tell me why you check no or why you think you check no?
I think I probably was just going through the question really quickly, so I probably overlooked it, but I'm familiar with the name Lil Wayne.
Okay. And the same for question number 127. Are you familiar with a person who performs under the name YoungThug? You check no.
That's correct. That's a no.
So you had never heard of or have not heard of him?
It's a standard question, a standard objection, I should say.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. You indicated in response to question 201 that you listen to gospel and classical music and you're open to many genres. Do you remember answering that question?
I do remember that.
Okay. Are there other genres that you like to listen to besides gospel and classical?
Not really, though. I'm actually the worst person who comes out of music, so my friends joke with me about certain artists, or if they say something. So music is not, I'm horrible with music, 100%. So my friends will definitely vouch for that, though. So.
Okay. Now, are you, you indicated that you have social media, you have social media pages or you follow social media pages, just as a general course, right?
Correct.
Do you have an Instagram account?
Am I allowed to answer that question? Am I allowed to answer that question? Do I have to answer that question?
I'm not going to ask you what it is.
Did y'all hear him? You know what? I'm trying to look at his Instagram. Listen, go ahead. I'm gonna play it.
You do have an Instagram account.
I do have an Instagram account.
And do you post, what type of things do you post on your Instagram account?
Mostly fitness. I pretty much work out, and mostly family things as well, and my ventures across when I do travel, depending on what that is.
Okay.
But I'm pretty much work out mostly about 3 times a week, so mostly like fitness things.
And do you post videos, pictures, combination of both?
Both.
There's relevance.
I'll overrule the objection.
Your Honor,
Overrule the objection.
thank you. Go ahead.
Both.
All right. As to the videos, do you have music underneath the videos? Like, is there music playing?
Sometimes there are, sometimes I do.
I think the reason why he said that, Steph, is because he don't want the whole world to know what his Instagram is, because he's supposed to be, the juror is supposed to be anonymous right now. So for her to even, he's not going to say what his Instagram, because, it would happen. People go and search it because it's a whole bunch of people in the courtroom. So he's not going to tell what his Instagram is. That's why.
Music.
And do you prefer any particular artists for your videos?
No, it depends on, sometimes if I'm working out and the video comes on, music comes on, I may feel in the mood and they post that particular song that day, or, it just all depends on, my mood.
Fair enough. And Drake, are you a fan of Drake?
I know his music, listen to his music, but it's not like I have a specific artist. There's not really one specific artist I really, really like at all. It's just if some of their songs sound great, then I like it. But
thank you. Okay. You indicated in response to question number 204 that you have an opinion about crime in Atlanta. Do you remember indicating yes?
It sounds familiar.
Okay. What is your opinion about crime in Atlanta?
Given the fact that I'm not from Atlanta or from Georgia, it's from what we see in the news, what I see in the news is that crime has gone down, which is good. I think that's something that the community and folks across the city want that to happen. But we do know that crime across the country is up in various locations, though. Even back in North Carolina and DC, I mean, every city is dealing with the same situation that we're dealing with here in the city of Atlanta. However, it seems as though that things have decreased. And I think the last time I watched the news for was with the situation that took place with the gunman walked into I think killed the 2 individuals in the building downtown. Mm-hmm. And I believe that either the sheriff or the mayor mentioned that crime has decreased. So I'm assuming that based on the statistics that are going on right now within the city, that crime has gone down, and that's favorable towards the community as well.
Okay. Is it fair to say it's not something you worry about on a day-to-day basis?
No, I think I worry more about the traffic than I think about the crime. I think everybody worries about the traffic in the city.
Fair enough. Let's see. You indicated as well that you are familiar with the Buckhead neighborhood of Atlanta, but not the Jonesboro South, Castleberry Hills, Mechanicsville, or Summerhill neighborhoods in Atlanta.
Correct. Wasn't born and raised here in Georgia and Atlanta, so I have no idea. I'm still looking around to see different parts of the city as I'm, when I have some free time or travel different places though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any one part of Atlanta that you found yourself to like more than any others?
I sustain the objection.
We can move on. You indicated that you've had a close friend or a family member who struggled with either a drug or an alcohol addiction.
I don't think I remember seeing that. Say it one more time.
So question number 254 on page 37, Your Honor, of the questionnaire is the very last page. Mm-hmm. Have you or a close friend or a family member struggled with drug or alcohol addiction?
I had a friend, still have a friend who had struggled with a typical drug, which I later found out what it was.
What was the typical drug?
I think he was doing coke. He's just doing coke and other drugs as well, though. But that's something I found out years later. I know that he was in service, but he got an honorable discharge. Okay. So I'm not sure the status of what he's doing currently. I just don't really bulge on that. It was something that was a touchy subject that both him and I had a conversation about afterwards. So, because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know it took place until some time later. But we're still friends, and so I don't look at him any different or anyone. I think everyone has their flaws and addictions or some kind of form. So I do believe that he's fine.
Okay.
And so yeah.
Okay. As you sit here today and having filled out the questionnaire, is there anything that you can think of that might affect your ability to sit and listen to the evidence in this case that is presented and the law as the court gives it to you, and apply that law to the evidence and render a verdict in this case? Anything at all affecting that ability?
As it pertains to the question, no, there's nothing that I have to add or that's going to affect.
Now, if you hadn't qualified it, I wouldn't follow up with this question. But you said as it pertains to the question.
As it pertains to what you're asking, I do have a personal opinion as far as the length of the course of being called upon, but that's my personal opinion. But as it pertains to the question that you represented, there's nothing that clouds my judgment or anything that interferes with the court case.
Okay, so let's go back to that personal opinion. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Personal opinion is it's been a long, drawn process, mm-hmm. And got an email I've been sitting around for a very long time. I'm not used to sitting still for a very long time. I'm used to moving around, of course. I'm active, so I just like to keep things in a timely manner. That's just how I am. I value time extremely seriously. That's my personal opinion.
Given the length of the case thus far and the length that it may go on for, is there anything about that that you feel is more any party's or anyone's fault than another?
No.
Okay.
No.
And is there anything about that in any way, good or bad, may affect your ability to sit and listen and render a verdict in this case?
No, I'm a neutral person, and I'm a factual person. I'm gonna just go by the facts. Despite personal opinion about certain things, I think I'm a fairly fair person. And I think that sometimes it does rattle some fingers with some friends of mine and associates who do not always like to know my personal opinion when the facts are given. Facts are first and then your emotions are second, though. That's just how I operate. And that's just dealing with people on a regular basis, especially now. You're dealing with so many folks on a given day basis, and sometimes people's emotions cloud their judgment, but it's up to me and by holding leadership positions that I have to sit there and go by the facts. Unfortunately, though, so that's just how my mind thinks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And understanding, and I appreciate your responses so far. This is probably the last question. Do you have any opinion about any part of this process? I heard you reference, despite my personal opinions. Are there some personal opinions that you have as it pertains to any aspect of this case right now?
It has been a sustained objection.
Okay, Your Honor, and I did not ask.
I'll stand as the form. Why don't you rephrase if you can, but
Okay.
try not to ask the same question again.
Yes, Your Honor. Do you have an opinion, good or bad, one way or the other, about either any party or anything that you've heard about this case?
No.
Okay. Thank you. And do both the state and each of the defendants get a fair trial with you?
Everybody gets a fair trial. Just by, I worked in politics for so long, and I've just dealt with different people, persons, individuals. You have to uphold the law despite a personal opinion within self. I think everyone is entitled to a fair trial. Everyone's entitled to their own personal opinion, even when it comes down to politics. Everyone has a freedom of speech to say what they have to say, even if we disagree with it. I'm just a fair person. That's just how I operate.
Thank you. That's all that I have. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Mr. Williams? Yeah, I'm looking at you. Yeah, anything? I'll let you go first.
Good morning, Jury 56. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. So on the questionnaire, question number 68, the question is, are there any subject matters or genre in reading materials, television programs, or movies that you try to avoid? And you answered yes. What is it about horror movies that you dislike?
I've just never been a horror person. I like to protect my heart and my mind.
So is it like ghosts, zombies, gore? Like what is it about horror movies?
Just gory for me. Surprisingly, the funny part is I can sit down and watch Care Bears all day versus having to watch a horror movie.
Well, everybody likes Care Bears.
I do like Care Bears.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much.
All right. Mr. Carthage.
Just Juror 56, good morning.
Good morning.
You just stated to Ms. D. Williams that you like to protect your heart and mind as it relates to watching horror films.
Correct.
Of course, you've heard the indictment as it relates to this particular case. Does anything about that places you in a position where you feel that you should protect your heart and mind?
No.
Okay. Regarding you valuing your time and the length of this case, does anything about that place you in a position where you feel that you cannot be fair and impartial?
No. no, except for just me getting paid accordingly for my current job. So other than that, though, but as it relates to this case, no, there's nothing that interferes with that.
You said something about getting paid from your job. What was that again? I'm sorry.
Well, just getting paid, I mean, it's just the fact of, I know it's a lengthy process, and I think that we were told or notified within the court system that this case may take extensive time. And I think that's something that's been challenging for a lot of people, including myself, though, who may feel like, it's taking time away from work. So,
Understood.
Yeah.
Would that cause you to be fair and impartial or not fair and impartial in this situation? Okay. And you're an HBCU grad, right?
Correct.
Yeah. What school was that again for undergrad? I'm sorry.
North Carolina A&T State University.
Okay. I think that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
Before I continue my examination, let me follow up on something Juror 56 that you said, okay? We have all the information about you, so we know you work for Delta. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. What is Delta Airlines juror policy? Do you happen to know what that is?
We are paid each day that as we're serving as a juror. There's no extensive time, from my understanding, that you cannot serve, but we are paid at their value each day that we have to serve in court.
How does that work for you if you're picked for jury service? Are they going to pay you your average trip times, or how does that work for you?
Well, on the record, they'll pay us 6 hours per day that we serve on the jury as a juror.
How much does that equate for you? 6 hours. I got to ask these questions for a reason. So
I understand.
Okay.
Since I've been working this long at my seniority and my pay rate, it's going to be a little under 1,000 for 3 days for 18 hours. So so I think you multiply it with 6 hours times 5 at my pay rate. I'm losing per diem and I'm also losing boarding pay. So on average for an 18-hour trip, which I received 18 hours for this particular for jury duty.
She received 6 18-hour trips. Is that all?
Yeah, it's a 3 days. It's a 3 days. So mostly I'll fly 3-day trips. But as it pertains to the 3 days, which is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we receive 6 hours per each day. That equates to under $1,000. So, but depending on the trip value for 18 hours, averaging between 1,000 to 1,200 within those 3 days.
Okay. So, and you said you'll lose your per diem and you'll lose there's one other type of pay you'll lose. Is that correct?
Boarding pay.
Boarding pay. Okay. All right. Can I ask you what Delta paid you last year? I mean, ordinarily, none of my business. I'm asking a series of questions, and there's a reason for it. So please, you can blame me for it. Tell us what you got paid last year.
As far as my salary,
Just your base salary.
I think in a month's time last year, I can say that I probably made around 7,000 or 8,000 gross. Now, but that depends on how many trips we fly.
So on the low end, if you made $7,000 a month, is that what you're saying?
On the low end, let's go for 6,000 because there was a pay rate change that took place. Every year for 12 or 13 years, our pay goes up every single year. So I just reached the threshold, the minimum or the max of what we got paid for. It's actually really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just based upon $6,000 a month, last year, did you make about $72,000?
Yes, I think it's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much even though Delta's going to pay you, what do you estimate your salary to be this year?
That's a good question. I was trying to go really strong.
Let me ask you another question. How much if you could quantify it, how much do you think that you will lose if we select you for jury service here, you had to quantify it in terms of, up to 6 months or thereabouts. We already know that your Delta's gonna take care of a base of your salary, but just with the other day per diem and the boarding fee and any other specialty pay you get, how much can you tell us you would potentially lose for maybe 6 months?
It depends on how often the jurors are in court. So if they're in here Monday through Friday.
We're gonna pretty much work 4 or 5 days a week.
And so it's kind of hard to say because I can under pay scales. So
I'm just asking for a guesstimate. I'm not asking for an exact figure, but if you had to, because only what.
I'm going to use like a few $1,000s or so. We see that inflation's coming down, which is great.
Would you say it'd be under $10,000, maybe in 6 months?
Let's say that just to.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, so do you own a home, have a mortgage?
A rent.
Okay, rent. What's your rent and utilities, if I can ask?
Rent is.
I'm asking a lot of questions.
Yes, you're asking a lot of questions.
What's your business? And I
haven't done this ever since I got in politics. So,
yeah.
let's say about it's about $1,600.
Okay.
For rent and the utilities. I'm a minimalist, so I don't use that much electricity. So it's like maybe $50-$60 per month.
Okay.
Since I'm traveling a lot.
And then, do you have a car note or anything like that you bear, or anything else, any other extraordinary expenses that you have?
Car note, student loans. Since we know now that student loans are going to go back and bring that back up again next couple of months or so.
So what does that decrement your account every month to now?
That's a good question. I have to sit down and look at the finances to do something like that.
Do you have a car note at this point in time?
I have a car note. Let's say about $330.
Okay, and then your student loans, what were you paying before the reprieve in the pandemic?
I still maintain my student loans. I was still paying student loans during the pandemic, and currently still paying my student loans now. And so that equivalents to probably about $300 to $300.
All right. And can I ask you what you make or what you have in checking and savings at this point in time?
Do I have to answer that question?
Liquid. Just liquid.
Liquids?
Yeah, just liquid.
I have a few thousand.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, despite the fact that Delta is going to pay you, okay, and like I said, there's no right or wrong answer in this particular inquiry. It's just honest ones. You are going to lose some money from the per diem, boarding pay and other specialty pay from Delta, correct?
Correct.
And that you've estimated about $10,000 for 6 months. Is that fair to say?
That's fair.
All right. If you were with us and you were not able to make your full salary, would that in any way affect your ability to pay your rent and utilities, your car note, student loan, and any other expenses you may have?
Possibly, unless the state decides to up our duty service as far as our pay.
Okay. Would the possibility of this decrement in pay put you in financial peril or concern?
It possibly could.
And would that possible peril or concern in any way affect your ability to come in the four walls of this courtroom and give these parties your undivided attention?
It's not going to affect my ability to serve, but at the end of the day, financially, there's a sacrifice. Either way, there's a sacrifice.
Okay, well and so we acknowledge that because we subpoenaed you. But would that sacrifice in any way affect your ability to come in the four walls of this courtroom and provide these parties with your undivided attention?
No.
And would you be able to be fair and impartial to both the state as well as to each individual defendant?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Mr. Steele, Mr. Adams?
Yeah, no questions.
All right, Mr. Harvey, any questions? Mr. Jennings, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Matthews Jr., sir, any questions, sir? All right, anybody else I missed? Okay. Ms. Ingerty, no questions. All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Botts. Sir, can I get you to step outside for just a second? Juror number 56, please. We'll call you back in. discussion as to juror number 56?
Your Honor, the state does not have a motion. I would request that the court, he said something that caught my ear when asked about his pay. He said something about the state and.
I don't know anything about that. And I mean, I've couched it in terms of his, because he can't really give us he's gonna lose money. And that's really the thing that I wanna ferret out for you all's behalf.
Your Honor, I would ask that just to ensure that it's not any kind of a problem, that he be asked if he could find out whether or not.
No, I'm not gonna do
Okay.
that. I'm not gonna do that. I think that my questions were adequate about in terms of hardship for purposes of paying attention and being fair and impartial. All right, anything further? Okay, can we call back in 56, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 56. You can come on up here. Just come on. Juror number 56, you're gonna be subject to a little bit more of our selection process. I know you're gonna probably not like this, but based on what we now know about you, it's gonna be somewhere around 4 to 6 weeks from now that we'll call you back in and for the formal selection process. Now, you can blame me if those dates don't hold, okay?
Okay.
All right, so, but that's my best guesstimate because the trial of any case is not an exact science. So I'm going to just give you a window and prayerfully we'll work toward that. But it might be a little bit before, a little bit after. And I just ask that you be patient with us about that. And if there's anything that bothers you about that, then you can blame me and not the parties, okay?
Okay.
Okay, all right. So you remember the letter that we gave you, the jury services gave you, it gives you a unique juror number and tells you to call that after hours number?
Yes.
Okay, same thing. In about a month, start calling that. And if we need you before then, we'll call you. Okay, but on a ballpark, you can start calling about a month out and about a month from now. And we'll let you know when you need to come. And like I said, hopefully it'll be sometime in that particular window, but it might be a little longer, it might be a little shorter. So you remember also, so I'm going to move on from that. Do you remember the ad nauseum admonitions I gave you about acceptable behavior?
Correct.
Okay, still subject to those. And then the last thing I would tell you is thank you for the patience that you've given us so far and will continue to give us. And we really appreciate that. And with that, sir, we'll see you or talk with you sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks or thereabouts, okay?
Okay.
All right, anything else? Any other questions of me?
That's everything.
Okay, all right.
Hold on. I'm going to play the guy that I want y'all to really listen to. Hold on a second. You guys going to get. Then after that, we can end all of this. But I gotta play that guy for y'all. Hold on. Hold on, try and pull it out.
About to fill out your questionnaire,
Yes.
which was done under oath.
Yes.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow up on those responses and the lawyers as well of the responses you gave.
Now that's not.
I'm all by myself. I don't have sisters, brothers.
Hold on, I'm pulling them up. I want you guys to listen to this guy.
Talk radio, all right. So I know it's kind of weird because I'm to your left and you can see me, but if you could talk into the microphone, all of us will be able to hear you through the speaker system, okay?
Okay.
All right. So I think let's just kind of review a little bit. You came in on the 9th of January, is that correct? Or thereabouts?
Yes.
To participate in the process?
Right, to do the questionnaire.
I think this is the guy, y'all. This is the guy.
Went through my initial orientation with you, saw the video, and then sometime in the next week you filled out this very large 37-page questionnaire.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Somebody's phone was ringing.
Council, I need to pause in place, so just give me a minute.
Yes, sir.
Somebody's phone was ringing, y'all.
Sandwiches from Anton's for everybody? Already. Oh, I'm sorry? Already? Okay, all right.
Somebody's phone was ringing, so he says, Anton, I get the food for everybody.
Mr. Botts, did we figure out how to silence our phone?
Yes, I had emergency this morning and I left it on.
All right, okay. Well, next time it rings, you're gonna buy us all these, okay? At least all the lawyers, not me, okay? Oh, well, I'm sure that your colleagues would love that. Okay, all right, okay, all right. All right, so if you need to put it on vibrate or whatever else, please do so. And if you need to step out, just. All right, okay, all right. I stopped anyway, so you know you didn't miss anything, okay? All right. So Juror 71, after that first orientation, you came back the following week to fill out this.
Listen to this
questionnaire,
juror,
which you
y'all.
did
Listen
so
to
well,
him.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do at this point in time is and the lawyers as well, is to ask you some questions based on that questionnaire you filled out under oath, okay? And yes?
Yes.
Okay. And let me just tell you as a general matter, there's no right or wrong answers, just truthful ones, and we'll be bound by whatever answer you give us, okay?
Okay.
All right. First thing I want to do is, councilors, I'm going to turn to 217. So you indicated on the questionnaire that you, in 217, reads as follows: the trial is expected to last 6 to 12 months. Would serving on this jury be a hardship for you? And you marked yes. Is that correct?
I think so.
All right. Tell me the hardship so I can grade or evaluate it.
Well, the hardship is, it's just the length of the trial, pretty much. Like I don't have any kids or anything, so it's not a hardship like that. It's just a long period of time. And I do a lot of out-of-town events.
Now, we have a little bit of information about you, which is self-provided, and that means you gave it to us. So, if this is correct, I know you're a machine operator who works for AT&T. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been with AT&T?
16 years.
Are you hourly or salaried? How much do you make an hour?
41 an hour.
41 something.
41 some change. Maybe about a week.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And what did they pay you last year?
Altogether, I made maybe, it all depends on overtime. Last year, I'm going to say about 130.
Okay, all right. Just W-2 wages, that's fine, sir. Sir, do you know what AT&T's Juror policy is?
I'm not like officially aware, but we do get paid for, like today, I'm getting paid my full day's paid just 8 hours.
Okay, now would you not make any overtime? Is that?
Yeah, I'm not making any overtime pay. I just do the 8 days, 8 hours.
And do you traditionally do overtime?
Yes, sir.
How many hours per day or per week would you?
Like right now, we're forced overtime. And,
yeah, did you say forced overtime?
Forced overtime, meaning.
Okay, so how many hours per day?
Anywhere of a week
Right now, with the new union policy, we can't force us over 18 hours.
You can't force over
We can't force over 18 hours.
18 hours, okay.
Right, but once you hit double time, we tend to stay out there much longer. So I can be anywhere between 50 to 70 hours a week.
50 to 70 hours a week of
Cash time total hours.
So a regular work week for you is 40.
It's 40.
So you're doing anywhere from 10 to 10 to 30 hours above that.
Yes, and it does depend because I do out of time events as well. So that when those coming up, I won't.
All right, so if you could just tell me or tell us all how much in overtime do you make on the average in a month's time? If you had to quantify it, is it $1,000, $2,000, $3,000? Can you tell me what that amount would be? Just
I can tell you more accurate for the year if that's okay. So my base salary would be about close to 90,000 a year, 89,000 a year. With overtime, I can make up to 40, 50,000, depending on what, it varies by year.
Okay, so to my point, and that's very helpful, and thank you very much for that information. So if you're here, understanding your juror policy, AT&T is going to pay you that base of 90, but they're not going to get anything over that potential 40 wouldn't be paid to you for jury service.
Correct.
Sound about right? Okay, all right. Got to ask you some other questions. If do you own a home, have a mortgage?
Yes, sir.
All right, and other than the associated costs of having a mortgage and living in Atlanta, Georgia, do you have any other extraordinary expenses that you pay, such as a car note? Do you have children in college? Any other significant bills?
Just pretty much a car note.
I'm sorry, car note?
Just a car note.
How much is that?
$501 a month.
You said 501. Okay, all right. So. And how much do you have in checking and savings at this time?
Probably is about 50,000.
Okay. So if you were here with us up to 6 months, would it be fair to say that you would not be able to work any overtime for AT&T? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Would that bear out to at least somewhere between, up to maybe $20,000 or $25,000 in income that you wouldn't be able to make because you were here with us?
That sounds about right.
Would that cause you to spend some of the money that you have in checking and savings to pay your mortgage and car note and other customary expenses?
I probably pay that with I'm quite sure I can pay that with my just 40 hours a week.
All right. Would this decrement in income in any way put you in financial peril or concern?
No, sir.
So you wouldn't have any. So you basically are saying even though you'd have a decrement in income, that you could come in the four walls of this courtroom and provide these parties with your undivided attention. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you could be fair and impartial both to the state as well as to each individual defendant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Got to ask you another question, and counsels will flip back to question 13, please. So there are certain questions which we're required to ask all jurors. They're called statutory questions, and question 13 reads as follows. Is your mind perfectly impartial between the state and the accused? And you've marked no. Does that sound right?
Read the question again, sir.
That'd be one better. I'm gonna just hand you the page. Okay. I have the question circled. If you could read that to us.
Y'all hear the question, right? Did you guys hear the question when he's being asked? Yeah, he basically said no in regard to him being impartial to the state and the defendant, but he's gonna explain it to you guys. Just listen.
And then you can answer the question.
Hang on one second.
Okay.
All right, we're ready. 13.
Yes, sir.
Well, I probably meant to put yes.
Okay.
So
So it's yes. All right, you can hand me that page back, please, if you wouldn't mind, sir.
Ms. Long or Mr. Oleski, who's with me?
Good morning, juror number 71. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good morning. How are you?
Good, I'm well, thank you. You indicated on your questionnaire that you're the president and the owner of Epic South Entertainment.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell me a little bit more about that company?
Okay, those are the events I was talking about for the Chicago Bears. Unofficially, I do a lot of the road trips, parties, set up the tailgates, the big events, which has about 1,000 people.
Okay.
And it's just parties. And I do other things outside the Chicago Bears as well, but that's like the main income right there.
Okay. And what other things outside of the Chicago Bears do you do with your company, with your entertainment company?
You said with the entertainment company?
Yes.
We'll just do like house music events in Atlanta, or we may go back to Chicago because there's a sister group we have in Chicago, and we'll do things together.
Okay. I also saw that you indicated that you've worked as a DJ, or is it that DJing is a part of the company that you?
Yes, it's an entertainment company, DJs, parties.
Okay.
And we just rent out venues, and we, sell tickets, resell tickets.
Understood.
Arrange a party, the kind of venue we get, what city we go to, and we just, everybody from Chicago come down, we call it takeover.
Okay.
And everybody comes down to this party.
All right. Have you worked with any particular artists to promote any events that artists have been involved in?
Well, it'll be local Chicago artists, like the big DJs in Chicago, which may not be popular here, but it's a Chicago thing. It's a Chicago style party.
Okay. And you indicated when asked, are you familiar with certain artists that were listed in the questionnaire, that you are familiar with them?
Oh yeah, because the DJing, I used to DJ, but I pretty much just promote or make sure everything runs fine. I hire my DJs, a lot of them part of the crew. And so with the music, I have to be versed in music, so I know music, especially hip hop. But we mainly do house music for the events. That's the Chicago's. People heard of it, but it's big in Chicago. But yes, I do know all about the music. And if you want to say black music, yes, I'm music.
The ones that are in here.
Yes, I know about hip hop.
Okay. Now, is there anything about your familiarity, your having worked just with music in general, that would affect your ability to just be a fair and impartial juror in a case involving persons who work in the music industry?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you. You indicated as well that you're from Chicago, but you've been in Atlanta or in this area for some years.
Yes, ma'am.
Years. And you indicated that you are familiar with the area of Cleveland Avenue.
Yes, right now I work in the Powder Springs area with AT&T, but I was stationed in East Point, Georgia, and I worked that area. So, because we have little boxes, apartments, homes, we have to go all over the area. Okay.
When did you work in East Point?
Left there in 2019.
Okay.
November or December 2019, then we transferred over to Powder Springs.
And how long did you work in East Point?
The East Point area, I've worked there since because I was in Florida, came back here in 2014. I worked in Covington 1 year, they moved me over to Riverdale. Even though it was the Riverdale East Point, they had in the same area.
Okay. So
I worked that area from 2000, I think I got transferred in 2000, either early 2015, late 2014, so it was about 5 years in the East Point area.
Thank you. You also indicated that you have had some experiences, both good and bad, with law enforcement.
Yes, ma'am.
And in particular, you indicated that some stick out quite a lot in your mind.
So one more time, sir.
You indicated that some of your experiences with law enforcement stick out in your mind.
That's correct.
And you also went into, in question number 123, you went into some of that, your experiences with the Chicago police.
Yes, ma'am.
And so forth. Those experiences, do they leave you with lasting impressions about prosecutors' offices?
No doubt.
Okay, tell me about them.
Because as a black man growing up in Chicago, I have been targeted, unfairly. The police have smacked me around for no reason. Sometimes, I talk crap to them. That's how I was when I was younger. But you still supposed to be professional. I got locked up. I never went to prison or counted with felonies, but just the misdemeanors, because I feel that when I'm black and I am sitting being judged, when I look at the country, we are, and a lot of people might not feel that we're guilty before innocent. And I feel we do have an unjust in the system, and that's why I don't mind coming to court to be a juror, because I'm going to be more impartial. And I do believe some people come in, and even when we started this trial here, when the judge was reading some questions about certain things, I heard some white people say, "Oh, they shouldn't have said that." It was like, to me, they sound like they was already guilty from not even hearing one thing. They didn't know, because I understand hip hop, most of it, there's a term they call studio gangsters. So a lot of people will speak and say things because that's what sells. Right. But don't mean they did that stuff. Right. That's just what the trend is. Right. Not that I'm a fan of it, but I understand it. So I feel we are, because I am a black man in Chicago, and I got arrested plenty of times, and most of the things I haven't even done. And when I go to court, I have to plea out most of the time because I don't feel I'm going to a fair trial.
So does that feeling leave you?
Wow. Y'all hear him?
Sentiment about all prosecutors, or?
Well, the prosecutors are doing their job. It's the juror. But sometimes you get a bench trial, everything that happens, I don't think is always fair. So as I get older, when we just get arrested, I feel like I'm coming in guilty. So I would take a plea instead of roll the dice with the court system. And I'm just telling you my honest beliefs.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
He is totally honest, y'all.
That would in any way impact how you view anything that the state would have to present in this case?
No, I wouldn't be biased about it, but I won't come in just saying the rappers, they're guilty. Because they had, I know what they look like. Some have tattoos in their face, and I know that's can be negative. Some people see that and just say they're a criminal automatically, without being hurt. Like I said, I even overheard some people before the judge, so everybody be quiet. People was talking, and I can hear some of the negative things they were saying, and they didn't even know who the guys were.
Right. And with that, or did that leave you with any feelings or concerns about the state of Georgia or the Fulton County District Attorney's Office in this case?
That doesn't have anything to do with the juror. That has everything to do with the people who may get chosen to be a juror.
Right. So it sounds like, if you're chosen as a juror, that you would be able to come in, listen to the evidence that is presented, and the law as the court gives it to you, and make a decision based on what you see and hear in the courtroom and the law as the court gives it to you. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. And not on how they look.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the law, regardless of how you feel about it, you would follow the law that the court gives.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
It's the same questions over and over.
What's the basis?
That is it.
I'm gonna sustain the objection. Let's just move on, Ms. Lowe.
Yes, Your Honor. You indicated that you listen to rap and hip hop every day and you pay some attention to the lyrics. And you indicated in response to questions 133 and 134 that as to any genre of music, lyrics could be autobiographical and they may not be autobiographical.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me, is there anything in particular that would lead you in any instance to think yes in this instance and no in this instance?
No, because music, like I said, music is here for entertainment purposes. People want to make music and sell music to people, and because certain things sells. Sometimes negativity sells. A lot of music today, negativity sells. You know, I do house music, it's about positivity and dance and everything like that. But, you know, some people, I get it, some people actually listen to the music and believe it. I don't half the time with the new artists, I don't even know what they're saying, but I like the music and the beats. I'll be honest. But, you know, the rhyme and the rhythm make people move. But, you know, some of the other people, they more want to be the lyricists because they want to become rappers. So they listen to the lyrics because you're trying to emulate them and be them.
Right.
Me, I don't know what they're saying. I'm just listening to the groove, the vibe.
Understood. You indicated as well that you've been following this case in the news, but since you got your questionnaire and since the court gave you the instructions about not following it, have you abided by those instructions?
No, I didn't follow it. And before, I didn't follow it. You know, if I watch the news, you're going to hear some of the things that happen. And, you know, when with this case, a lot of these rappers, I'm not that familiar with all of them, of course, the big names, because most of the time, because of my age, I'm 57, I'm going to listen more to the old school hip hop. But when I do work at AT&T, so I'm in the van, I don't have a choice to listen to what I want to hear. So I put it on, so I'm more familiar with the music that I would be in my van, because I'm hearing everything every day. We don't play like my party like this we throw. We never play more of the mature, older music. You know, we don't play the older hip hop, R&B. We don't play what they call the trap music at our parties, because that's not what my demographics of my people listen to. But, you know, I do hear in my work band, and music grows on you. So like I said, I don't know what they're saying. I don't understand all the lingos that they throw out, you know, like the new slang. I just learned what cat mean, you know, recently, right? So I just figured that one out. I had to ask somebody. I had to ask my nephew what cat means, because I heard it so much.
Understood. And you indicated as well that, and I don't know if you meant to, but you said when asked whether you had an opinion about head and neck tattoos, and you referenced tattoos. Is there anything about that would keep you from just being a fair juror in this case?
No. Even I don't like it per se. I tell people don't get it because it destroys your potential, your wealth potential. But just because you put it on there, now I may look at you because I'm in different era and say, you look like a damn fool. I'm sorry. You're like a fool. But I'm not going to look at them and say, hey, because you got a face tattoo on, you cut your hair this way, you dress this way. We dress weird, our parents in that day. So I understand they're going to do their styles, they're going to say their opinions. I don't like it.
Right.
This is America, it's a free country. You have the right to do what you want to do, as long as it's within bounds of the law.
Right.
So,
Exactly,
you know,
right.
it's just my opinion, I don't like it.
Okay. And you indicated that you know someone who was either involved with in some way or associated with a gang. Was that in Chicago?
Yeah, I grew up in Chicago. I mean, I even had to, we said, you have to pretend or perpetrate like in a gang, because when you walk the street in Chicago, like they say Atlanta have a gang problem. No. You go to Chicago, it's something serious. So I have to hang, in order to walk the streets freely, you have to sit in the gang and hang with some gang members, because if you walk solo, you can get jumped. Now, once I got to a certain age and I grew up, I left all that stupid stuff alone. Because I ran the streets, so I understand the streets.
Gotcha.
He is so honest, y'all.
You answered one of our questions on the questionnaire regarding the Georgia RICO and gang statute. You, when asked, let's see, I want to make sure I get it right. You said, you had an opinion about the Georgia RICO and gang statute. Did I get that correctly?
I really have to refresh my memory. What was the answer? What was my question?
You said that, here it is. what the question was, question 110. And the question was, what accurately states your opinion about Georgia RICO and gang laws? And let me first ask, what has been your source of knowledge or exposure to what the Georgia RICO and gang laws are?
Formally, do I know what the RICO law? Formally, the legal aspect of it, no. But what I hear, the RICO law, me as being a black man in America, sometimes I think some laws are targeted to pull people in to get them where you can't get them somewhere else. So that does feel like people be unfairly targeted under RICO law for my knowledge of what I know of the RICO law. I don't study the RICO law, I don't study the laws, but this is what you just hear when people talk. And I understand when people talk, they don't know what they're talking about half the time. It's just and a lot of stuff. But just my knowledge of it is it's a targeting type of law.
Okay.
And I'm just being honest, that's how I feel about it, but I'm not sure what it really truly means from like your standpoint as you're a lawyer or a prosecutor.
Okay.
Go on.
So,
He just tell it like it is,
my
y'all.
opinion was that federally it was created for white mobs by Chicago laws. 5 people together are a gang.
Oh yeah, because of Al Capone and a lot of that stuff, those gangsters, that was written for, in my opinion, it was written for the mobsters to clean up on the organized gang, the gang life. But now it's kind of used to get smaller groups together, and a lot of times I see just targeting people unfairly.
Okay. And in this particular case, there are laws, there are charges that involve allegations of violation of the Georgia RICO Act. Despite your feelings about it, will you listen to anything that the court has to tell you about it and follow whatever the court tells you?
Yes, the law is the law. Even if I may not agree with the law, sometimes I don't like the law because it feels untargeted me in certain instances when I was growing up. But the law is the law. If I'm here to follow the law, I have to follow the law.
Appreciate that. You indicated that you were a witness to a crime, that you reported it, but that no ID was made. And just for your honor's purposes, that was question number 95. What was it that you were a witness to?
I mean, I was a witness to a lot of crime. That's put one in there specifically. Because I grew up in Chicago, so I've seen a lot of laws. But when people say you snitch, like some things I won't tell if it's small, when it's coming up. But if it's all something serious happen, now I may not snitch in front of everybody because I know the street rules. People, when you're snitching, they're gonna come after you. But if I saw you doing something that really is harming somebody,
okay,
I'm gonna tell.
Okay. You indicated when asked, have you formed an opinion about the guilt or innocence of any of the defendants? You indicated that you heard tales from locals growing up in the area. Are you able to put aside those tales?
Yes, because as I told you earlier, people in the streets talk. They don't have information. They just talk. It's just how rumors start. So they don't have the facts. If I don't research something, I'm just guessing. But we all, like I tell my people, you can't listen to it by the street research. And I said today, how are you so stupid with a family and Google it? Even Google may not have all the correct answers. Go to certain sites, educate yourself.
Right.
Because most people are going to give bad information. Because to start my business and make the money I do with Epic South, there's people telling me what I should and shouldn't do, but they have no idea how this business runs. So just because you're telling me this is right and wrong, I have to go with my experience, people who's in that field, because most people think they got the answer, but they don't.
Right. So it sounds like you'll be able, no matter what you hear about someone you may have heard about in the streets, you'll be able to judge whatever you hear in this courtroom on its own merits.
Right, because
I say the objection.
Okay.
Let's move on.
You indicated earlier that you know yourself, you've been treated unfairly, in your opinion, by law enforcement or...
yes, ma'am.
And you indicated that you know someone or you know other people who you feel have been treated unfairly.
I know a lot of people have been treated unfairly in the system.
Okay.
I mean, that's just, to me, that's my personal thing. You want to call it a pain, but that's what it is.
You understood. Are those in Chicago or any of those?
Some down here, some people with children who they went to jail, and doing way more time than they should. You know, even I told the mother, I said, you don't really know how the system works, because she's a black mother and a black son. And I said, lost my son, unfortunately, I would tell him to take the plea bargain. She got a lawyer because we can't really afford great representation. So he's doing 12 years for letting someone use his cell phone to set up a robbery. So, you know, so.
Would you be able to put aside, I'm not asking you.
I can put aside, like if I'm in a jury, I put aside and I'm gonna listen to the facts. Now, when I listen to the facts, I'm not gonna let, you know, I'm just like we go back to deliberation. I'm not gonna let you force your opinion on me. I'm gonna stand my ground. If I feel that, because I mean, I work with white people, I live around white people, I deal with white people. We have two different opinions on a lot of stuff when it comes to crime. I listen to the news, I see it, and a lot of stuff, like the politics to me, it's a class war, but they make it a race war. So I'm just telling you how I think. So they teach people to hate each other, and they pit us together with black people doing this, white people doing this, because you have a lot of black people say they don't trust the government because they listen to these group of people. You have a lot of white people who think really, a lot of us as criminals because just the color of our skin, and they judge us by, you know, I've been going with a lot of depression stuff, but just to break that, you know, not to get all into it. So a lot of our people do have an oppressed mind. So when their mind is oppressed, and like I said, you know, in projects, they created a certain mindset. And then, you know, when we created that mindset, you have people move away from them. Black people move away from those people.
Right.
So then they try on the projects to create Section 8 housing. And wherever the Section 8 housing is, they put them in black communities. And it destroys the black community. What happens is that kids with peer pressure destroy the good black kids. So the white people think we're all, and not all white people, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying people who listen to certain news sources think we're all animals. And, you know.
Would you, understanding how you feel there?
I'm just saying in deliberation, I'm just saying I would tell that person you can't judge him because of what you heard about other people.
Voicing some kind of opinion.
Yeah, so I'm quite sure we'll be talking. Okay. I know about Juror from TV.
Okay. And I respect and understand your feelings, certainly on race in this country. Is there anything about it? I'm a black prosecutor, you're gonna see black prosecutors. Is there anything about that fact, African-American prosecutors, that sits wrong with you or that you feel like might impact how you view things?
No, because in me personally, I don't judge you by your color. I'm just explaining, I understand how a lot of people in masses work. Okay. Most people are followers. Okay. And that's just how the world works.
I appreciate that. You indicated as well that you feel that crime in Atlanta is an enormous problem. Is that,
There's an enormous problem everywhere.
Okay, okay.
Everywhere in America, you know.
Right. So from what I hear, both the state and each of these defendants is going to get a fair trial from juror number 71 if you're
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
I don't have any questions. Mr. Harvey, anything, sir? All right, Mr. Matthews, anything?
No question.
Mr. Jimenez, anything?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Botts?
No, Your Honor.
Self-induced. Okay, Misty Williams? Mr. Partridge? Mr. Weinstein? Anybody else on this? Okay, all right. Juror number 71, can you step outside for just 1 second and then we'll go ahead and call you back in, please? Don't get comfortable, okay? Okay, all right, okay.
Listen to this, y'all. Listen to this.
All right, Juror 71 has left us. Any issues?
Just 1 second, Your Honor. Yeah, no issues. No.
Hearing none, call him back, please. All right, juror number 71, we are going to have you come back for the formal juror selection process. Now, let me tell you about that. That will probably be somewhere in 4 to 6 weeks, and that's a guesstimate. So if it's not exactly within that time frame, you can blame me, but and that's so in about a month's time, I would start calling that after hours number that you got on the piece of paper that we gave you. You can start calling that and let us and kind of find out. If we need you before then, we're going to call you. We'll call you and let you know. But I feel pretty comfortable that it'd probably be somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks or thereabouts. That's the first thing. Second thing, you remember the ad nauseum admonitions? I think you already mentioned that when counsel was examining you. You still need to adhere to all those, okay? Yes, sir. Okay. And the last thing I tell you is thank you for your patience and the attention that you've given to this matter, and will continue to give this matter. And with that, we'll see you in the 4 to 6 weeks or thereabouts, okay? Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Take care. Bye.
Do y'all want to hear any more? You guys want to hear any more? You guys want to hear another one? You let me know. You're not answering the question. Do you guys want to hear any more? I got one they said no to. And this one. Okay, I got one that they're going to say. Well, Steph, you got beat out on that one. Well, I got one where they said no to, and yeah, I got to show you the face on this one. I got to show you a face of Miss Love on this one because she was relentless. She was not giving up, y'all. I just want to show y'all her face. This particular one, she was not giving up. I'm telling you. Hold on, I'm gonna. Miss Love was not giving up. Y'all gotta see her face. Hold on a second. Miss Love was not giving up. Wait till y'all see it. I mean some cherries, y'all. Sorry. Hold on.
Is him in a
a unique category of being biased, Your Honor. For those reasons, Your Honor.
Hold on. I gotta play this one for y'all. Hold on.
The RICO law, me as Black Men America.
Sounds.
Hold on, y'all.
Hi, juror number 78. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right, sir, do me a favor. Speak directly in the microphone so we can all hear you, okay?
How's that?
That's much better. All right, sir, welcome back. Juror number 78, you came, I want to say on the 5th of January or thereabouts to listen to the court's initial orientation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Hear the video. And then at some point in time during that following week, you came to fill out a questionnaire under oath. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So what we're doing today is just following up on those responses that you gave during for that questionnaire. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then I'll ask you some things, and then counsel may have some further follow-up questions for you. First, sir, I'd like to start out counsel's 49. This question reads as follows, sir. Do you have any concerns or limitations that would prevent you from serving in a case that may last several weeks, and this may go on several months? And you've checked yes, and it's blank. So can you tell us a little bit about what your hardship is that, that would prevent you from serving, so I can grade or evaluate it?
Sure. Actually, I don't have a hardship. And that's why I left that blank, and I left the session early that day. I withdrew my hardship.
Okay, I just want to follow up because it is on the questionnaire.
Okay.
And we want to make sure that there wasn't something that was.
So you want me to explain that?
Yes, I would. Yeah, absolutely.
About 8 years ago, I was carjacked, and it was pretty violent. The person that carjacked me put the pistol to my head, and it was part of a chain of crimes involving a robbery in Grant Park. I live in Grant Park. My car was taken. It didn't have any gas in it. There was a broken tail light and a check engine light on. So we didn't get very far with that. So they carjacked a woman, and she survived that. And then they left and killed a clerk in a store. The perpetrator of that was traced back to my car because he dropped a cell phone in my car. The detective, Atlanta Police Department detective, there were 2 men and a woman, and he mentioned a couple of gangs. I think SL.
I think you have on here YSL, and that's
YSL.
52 counsels.
Yeah, YSL. The detective felt like it was either that gang or another gang. And he brought to me a lineup card, which was black and white photographs of individuals, and I couldn't identify any of those. The the murder happened in DeKalb County, and I was asked not to testify in that because I wanted to just focus on the one incident, and no one ever followed up with me, so I don't know the outcome of that trial.
Okay, and apologize for that certain experience you went through. Is there anything about, I mean, we come into this particular experience with all
Yeah,
the
he had
things
this
that
one,
happen
right?
to us in life and our opinions and biases, and we can't actually leave that at the front door. But is there anything about that particular experience that you had that would in some way affect your ability to be a fair and impartial juror in this case?
My children witnessed this, and it's affected my daughter quite a bit. She has a tracking device on my phone, so she can see where I am at all times.
How old was your daughter at this point in time?
She was 12 or 13, and she's 20 now.
Okay.
So to me, that influences how I perceive things. I can't say I wouldn't be an impartial juror, but I can't say that I wouldn't. As I think of this, I'd have to have more information before I could make that decision.
And then, like I said, we come into this particular experience with all the experiences that we've had. But and you just mentioned that, that experience to us. Would you be, just even though you've had that experience and you may have some feelings about it, would you be able to listen to the facts and circumstances of this case independently, apply the law that I'll give you to the facts and the evidence as you determine them to be, and render a decision that speaks the truth, not only to the state, but to each individual defendant?
I have to give some qualifiers to that.
Okay, and before you give the qualifiers, let me just tell you this.
Okay.
No right or wrong answers, only honest ones. We'll be bound by whatever it is you tell us.
Okay. I was a psychotherapist for 30 years, a little over 30 years. And my patient population was impaired professionals, mostly physicians with substance use disorders, a few attorneys, and a couple of judges, none of them from in town or from out of state. So that, I'm a professional judge of character. I did evaluations on people that had large outcomes in their lives. So I know I understand people, of course. I think I do. And my experience with, I guess I could qualify this as saying my experience with physicians has been that if they're in a treatment setting or a clinical setting, and there's no other physicians in that group to hold them accountable, they can wreck a group, they can wreck a hospital. So usually we would try to get doctors to treatment facilities, like here in Atlanta, we have two of them, Ridgeview and Talbot Recovery Center. We try to get the doctors into groups that other doctors, so there'd be mutuality. I kind of feel like I can't say for sure, but I feel like I'm in that same category that I could potentially wreck a group just with unconscious things I might do in a jury or something like that. I don't know that for sure.
Well, you mentioned it to us, and can I ask why you mentioned that to us? Is that just for our situational awareness, or can you explain or expound on that?
Sure. Attempting to explain any bias I might have. And there's been instances where I did show bias, of course, and sometimes I'd find out after the fact. So I've been trained in mindfulness, a lot of different things involving how I experience other people and how I can be with them in clinical settings. So I'm rambling about this. I'm trying to find my way. I can't answer that question. I wish I could be more, if you can get from what I just said, any kind of understanding, would be that I have potential to influence people, groups of people.
Given the training that you've had,
that's correct,
as a professional, are you a psychologist?
I'm a psychotherapist. I do cognitive behavioral.
All right, CBT?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And is that the response you gave to question 48? Do you have any mental or emotional problems that would make it difficult for you to serve on a jury? You marked yes. Is that what you're referring to?
No, it's the PTSD.
Oh, you have PTSD?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's not a severe case, but I know it's there.
Anything about that particular diagnosis that would affect your ability to listen to the facts and circumstances of this case?
That might be best answered by saying it would be day to day, depending on what was being discussed.
Could you listen to the facts and circumstances presented in this case and apply the law that you'll be given by the court and render a decision that speaks the truth as to both sides?
As much as I consciously could, and it's the unconscious matters that would trouble me, I think. But to be honest with you, I could be reined in by members in the jury, other members. And I'm open to listening to what other people say, so I would be influenced by other members in the jury. Hopefully they would be impartial. I can say, I don't know if this would shed me light on the matter. I have concerns about using song lyrics.
You have some concerns about that?
I do. It's kind of along the lines of, if I sing I shot the sheriff and I didn't shoot the deputy, could I be held liable for that in some way? It's an artist thing. I'm a visual artist also, so I have, and I like hip hop. I used to go to a place called the Apache Cafe downtown to listen to that as recent as 10 years or so ago. My children like it. Okay. So I do have that concern about that aspect.
It sounds like from looking at your questionnaire that you've had a lot of life experiences and you have some certain opinions about what you've gone through. Would that be fair to say?
I think that's fair to say. I've had a lot of life experience. In my field, there's a lot of heartache, but there's also physicians have a high rate of recovery, but the failures are spectacular. So I do have a little bit of PTSD from those experiences as well.
Anything about any of those experiences, individually or collectively, that would prevent you from coming in the four walls of this courtroom and providing these parties with your undivided attention?
Other than what I've already said, I would have to answer your question with, it's possible I could do this.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Does that mean you're not certain you can do this?
I'm not certain. Again, I think that would be a day-to-day thing, depending upon what I was hearing.
Okay, we didn't hear testimony day to day,
right.
But would you be able to, is there anything in that particular, your body of experiences that would prevent you from listening to testimony day to day?
I worked for DFACS for a year with, as a consultant with youth that were identified as having substance use disorder and they were under state supervision. I had suspected murderers in my group, and I was threatened by one of them. I never responded. I just had the person removed. No one ever did any physical harm to me. But that was I did that for a year. It was a pretty tough group. There was a gang member or two in there as well. So that's a life, that was a long time ago, but that's a life experience. And I would say it could be influential.
It could influence this case?
It's possible, you know, I'm not one to pinpoint this now.
Anything further?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Juror number 78. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. You indicated,
Excuse me, Judge, as the court is probably indulged to continue with the statutory matter indicated with the address.
Yeah, let me ask those questions to begin with, Ms. Love, before I go ahead. Juror number 78, there are some statutory questions. You have three of them that you answered. I need to follow up on those. Okay. I'm going to read them to you. First one is number 11, counsels. Have you for any reason formed or expressed an opinion in regard to the guilt or innocence of the accused, and you marked yes? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you mark yes? Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. My first experience here was the initial reading of charges. And I was here for a long day, and I didn't know the defendants were in the room. No one told me that. So when I saw them, I felt some tension in my body. And I identified that as bias. And that's why I answered that particular question. I want to qualify that again with, that was an easy question for me to answer, but I'm not entirely sure that was as truthful as it could be. Does that make any sense?
Yes, sir.
I have some ambivalence about that. Did I answer that question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And number 12 reads, have you any prejudice or bias resting against your mind, either for or against the accused? And you mark yes.
That would be related to the carjacking. And I think that's the suggestion from the Atlanta Police Department detective that they could have been involved.
You're saying that because you think that, and I think that goes back to one of the earlier questions, I think that was 52, is that correct? You talk about you were carjacked and it was believed to be perpetrated by the YSL gang, and that's what you wrote.
The detective had that opinion. There was no evidence to that, but yes, that's how I answered that question.
Okay. And then 13, is your mind perfectly impartial between the state and the accused, and you mark no.
I'm sorry.
The 13, that's the question. Is your mind perfectly impartial between the state and the accused, and you mark no. So can you tell us why your mind's not perfectly impartial between the state and the accused?
Well, my mind is not perfectly impartial about anything, but I'm sorry, Judge, I'd have to think about that more. I don't quite know how to answer that. Can we get back to that question?
Well, this is the last question I have for you at this point, but do you have now that you've further reflected on it, is your mind perfectly impartial between the state and the accused? And
if you're asking me to make a comparison between where my alliance would be between the state and the defendants, is that what the question is?
Yeah, the question asks whether or not, did you have any partiality between either side, or is it just impartial at this point in time, meaning that both sides are, stand on equal footing?
Right. I have concerns with the use of the music in terms of the prosecution, and I have concerns about the defendants based on my past history. So let's give it a 50-50, I guess. I like to be fair.
So you said you have some concerns of the defendants based on your prior experiences still?
For the defendants, yes. But to be honest with you, I could possibly overcome that. It's an unknown for me. I can't answer that very well.
All right. Ms. Love, anything, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. And thank you, juror number 78, for your honesty in trying to be as honest as you can. Earlier, you indicated that the detective, when you were asked about prejudice or bias, and you related some details about your own carjacking. And I noticed you said that was the detective's opinion, but you had no evidence.
Right. There was no evidence given to me at all.
So is it safe to say that you don't know anyone inside this courtroom?
It's safe to say that.
Okay. And understanding that you have worked specifically with, and I found that an interesting group of folks. You said doctors, lawyers, and airline pilots regarding substance abuse.
No, I did work some with airline pilots, but they had their own treatment program. I said judges, but nobody in here.
All right.
Just want to qualify that.
So not being certain how much interaction or communication you've had with attorneys, but do you understand that, or would you be able to follow the court's instruction if the judge told you that it is the state of Georgia and only the state of Georgia who has a burden of proof in a case like this?
I can follow any instruction.
Okay. And did I read correctly that you once served in the armed forces?
I did. I was drafted in 1971.
Okay.
And I spent 3 or 4 months, and they mustered me out because I went to the volunteer army.
Okay. Did you, even there, were you required to follow instructions whether you liked it or not?
Occasionally. all the time, of course.
Okay.
And there were consequences if you didn't.
Right. And you said that you do not know either of the defendants in this case or either of the parties in this case. Again, if you're instructed that the defense has absolutely no burden of proof, can you hold the state to its burden of proving this case?
Yes.
Sustain the question.
Okay. And when you, I'm sorry?
I don't answer that question.
You don't answer that question. That's
All right. And so when you said earlier that your mind is not perfectly impartial about anything, but right now everybody's on equal footing and you're willing to listen to the law that the court gives it to you and follow that instruction. Okay. Does that explain the reason you answered question number 13 the way that you did?
Ask and answer. I'll sustain the question.
Don't answer that.
Don't answer that either.
You indicated that you were asked to not come in and testify in the DeKalb County matter where you were carjacked.
Correct.
Did you obtain any other information about it?
I expected to hear something. When I didn't, I was okay to let that go.
Okay. And you indicated in response to question number 128 that you've heard of an artist who performs under the name Gunna.
Yes.
Okay.
I've heard my children play that music.
Okay. And you also responded to question 133 regarding lyrics. You said earlier that you're a visual artist and you don't like or don't particularly care for the use of lyrics against a person in a criminal matter. Did I hear that right?
That's an answer.
Judge, I'm sorry, but I do have to.
I'm going to overrule that objection.
Thank you, Judge.
Answer the question?
Yes, please. Thank you.
I mean, they're right about, there's my core feeling about that is I'm not sure about it. I'd be willing to hear evidence that would indicate it's possible to use this, but my basic feeling is that the arts probably don't belong in the courtroom very much.
Okay. Understanding your basic feeling, will you still listen attentively to all of the evidence presented in this case, regardless of what it is, and weigh it on its merits?
I'll sustain this to form. You rephrase it, madam.
I'm going to rephrase it and then you can answer it. Are you willing, regardless of that core feeling, whatever you hear in this courtroom and see in this courtroom as evidence, are you willing to weigh it on its own merits?
I heard Judge Granville read the charges and the lyrics from the music. That was galvanized. I couldn't stop listening to that. So I think I probably could do that. I'm curious about many things. I'm curious about what this is. And I think I can suspend certain ideas in order to hear evidence.
What was it that you have heard of 30D? In response to question 167, you indicated that you have heard of 30D. Where is it that you've heard of that?
Well, that's my question for myself. Did I hear it from the detective? Which I think I did. He mentioned more than one game.
Okay.
So I think that's where that came from.
And you indicated as well that you have heard of YSL.
Yes, I've heard the music.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of you indicated as well that you know or are familiar with a person, Khalif Adams, who goes under the name Bobby Hunt. Tell me how you're familiar with that person.
I think, did I answer that? Did I knew that person?
You did.
That may have been a mistake.
Okay. when you talked about being able, you said something akin to that you might, because of, I don't want to misquote you, so I'm going to paraphrase, but because of subconscious feelings regarding things that have happened, you said you might or could potentially wreck a group. And you explained a little bit more to the court. Could you just elaborate even a little bit more than you have with the court?
Well, I would say I've spent my entire life judging other people. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, that's been evidence-based. A good example of that would be physicians coming into a facility, a clinical facility, typically undergo a 96-hour evaluation done on an inpatient basis. So I've been involved in many of those, gathering forensic evidence. I don't know if this would influence anything, but just while I'm thinking about it, generally speaking, if a physician got in front of me, there was a lot of cost to get them there. It wasn't an easy thing to push a doctor to someone like me. Okay. So that came with some inherent bias, just the fact that we're sitting in front of me. Mm-hmm. And then my research into the complaints against them and that organizations might have or individuals might have would either clarify that or not. Okay.
And if in this particular case, I believe that the court has already said during its instructions, but I'm certain you will hear more times after that the indictment in this case is not any kind of evidence. Right. And that unlike when a doctor comes before you, you are not to consider the indictment as evidence.
That's correct.
Would anything in your own experiences keep you from maintaining that posture that the indictment is not evidence?
I'm a rational person, so yes, I can follow instructions. I can see both sides of the coin, and
okay.
I can pretty much understand my responses to things. Not always. It's my look is a little deeper than an average person, I guess.
Okay, I appreciate it. And when you brought up the fact that you've got PTSD, at least to some extent, as a result of your experiences with the carjacking, is that correct?
That's correct. I've had a course of EMDR.
I don't know what that is.
It's a eye movement therapy. It's based on gorilla research. When they are traumatized, they run through the jungle and their eyes move around a lot. Mm-hmm. So there's certain eye movements you can be directed clinically by a skilled professional that reduce the impact of PTSD.
Okay. Okay. Based on everything that you've considered up to this point, is it therefore fair to say you would be able to give both the state and each of the defendants a fair trial in this case if you're chosen to sit as a juror?
Objection, Your Honor. That's already been asked multiple times.
I stated
Your Honor, I did not ask it, so
I
I'm
asked
sure
it,
you did.
and I asked it several times, so let's move on, please.
Is there anything that has come to mind since you were asked that question by the court or since you started this process that you have not addressed that might impact your ability to, or affect your ability to be fair in this case? Let me ask a different question.
The question is very compound. Why don't you ask, the better question might be, is there anything as a result of this process that now comes to mind or he now wishes to talk about?
What he said. Is there anything that will keep you from being fair that you can think of?
I don't, to be honest with you, I don't think, I'm a very fair person. I've tried to be fair to people all my life, and particularly in my working life, because things that I decided impacted individuals, families, and institutions. So I've always tried to be very careful with that. I've made mistakes. People have died because of mistakes that I made. But I have endeavored to do the right thing.
What do you mean by that last statement?
Well, we typically, in my practice at Ridgeview Institute and at Decatur Hospital, we would typically have 5 to 10 suicides every year. And that's over 150 people in 30 years or so.
And you put that on you? You said as a result of your mistakes, people.
Well, it was a result sometimes of possibly my mistakes, but mistakes made in the institution as well. The last one was, and this one retired me, was a 44-year-old cardiologist that jumped in front of a dump truck in front of the hospital, in front of the patients. And his wife had served divorce papers without telling us, so we had no idea. So, of course, we were sued for that. I think there was a settlement. I was deposed. It was, I had questions about my hand in that. And so that was a pretty tough one for me.
Okay. And given all that, you're willing to deliberate even with all of that?
Sure.
And reach a verdict if you can?
Hopefully I have enough that I've lived enough to understand these things. And, you know, at this phase, as old as I am, I want people to be okay. That's my first. Currently, I'm coaching high school tennis, and I'm doing this because those children need me. So I see my responsibilities as, I think, as clearly as possible, and I respond to responsibilities based on how they come to me.
Thank you, sir. That's all that I have, Judge. Thank you.
Anything, council? All right, can we, I should say, number 78, can you step out for just a minute and then we'll call you back in, please, sir? Sir.
Hold on, y'all.
This is exactly the case, right? Okay, juror number 77 is, I should say 78 has left us. Any motions?
Not from the state judge.
Yes, Judge.
Yes, cause?
Yes, I'm gonna have to start the cause. For a number of reasons, I can either start by going through his responses on the questionnaire or going through his responses on stand. He never gave the court, starting with question 11, 12, and 13, a definitive answer in regards to why he answered in the negative. In the positive for those statutory questions. In fact, he affirmed that he had an opinion in regard to the innocence of the accused. Didn't take that back. Answer the question on whether or yes. He indicated that based on his personal experience of having been carjacked, someone who's going across subsequently involved with murder. He indicated he does have prejudice or bias resting on his mind, specifically against the accused because of his involvement in that carjacking, what he believed was the involvement of the technical in YSL. He was very clear about that. He never withdrew that. His explanation of whether his mind is perfectly impartial would be to say the accused. Ultimately, he said it would be 50-50 because he had some feelings about use of song lyrics against the DA's office, and because of the YSL and the carjacking situation against the accused. But he was not definitive in regards to any of his answers. I mean, this gentleman is trying as best as he can in no certain way to tell us that he was not biased. He has said that in his response to a number of questions. He indicated that based on the carjacking, that his daughter subsequently put a tracker on his phone, and that is what that influences how I perceive things. I can't say I could be an impartial juror. Those are his exact words. He indicated that he could fall with this damage. I could potentially wreck a group when he was attempting to explain the bias that he may have. He indicated he has PTSD as a result of that personal matter he referenced, the carjacking. He said it's not severe, but I know it's there. It would be day to day. And he said that in regards to whether he could be a peer during this case, as much as I consciously could. He indicated he is hoping that there would be impartial jurors, other jurors who would be impartial, who would quote, rein him in. He indicated that, when the court asked him about whether or not he could give his undivided attention to the case, he said, it's possible. I'm not certain I could do this, but he went on to say, based upon his quote, life experiences. He said that he could possibly overcome that, but there are no answers that he gave that indicated that he is able to be a fair and impartial juror. He says that in response to questions from the state, whether he could follow the court's instructions and keep those things in mind about the presumption of innocence, the burden of the state. He said, I can follow my responses. They said, not always. None of his answers are definitively sufficiently so that he can be a fair and impartial juror. In fact, I would contend that under the totality of the circumstances, anybody in this courtroom would agree that he is not fit to be on this jury. He is not an impartial juror. He cannot be fair and impartial. He cannot himself say to this court that he would not be biased. In fact, he said that he is biased. That's why that is the rules.
All right. Anybody else? Okay,
Your Honor, may I respond?
yes, ma'am, briefly.
Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, I believe that under a totality of the circumstances, this juror has shown exactly the opposite of what my esteemed colleague across the aisle has just indicated. He has indicated that he is a therapist, that his whole life involves judging people, and that he wants to and takes very seriously the responsibility of evaluating people and circumstances. He is exactly the kind of juror that we would want in this case. Collins v. State, 308, Georgia, 608, where the appellant contended that a trial court abused its discretion by failing to strike a juror for cause, who said that when asked if his personal life experiences would affect his ability to be fair and impartial, he responded, I think they might. He was asked if he could judge the evidence in the case and come to a verdict that speaks the truth, and he responded, yes. When asked if the fact that the defendants had been indicted tilted the scale against them, he responded a little bit, yeah. He was also asked if it was fair to say, due to the existence of the indictment and his, quote, conservative leaning, unquote, he was not fair and impartial, and he responded, that's a fair statement. He was then asked if he could follow the instructions from the court and listen to the evidence and reach a verdict that speaks the truth from what he learned in the courtroom. He responded, I believe I could. I don't know if I could do a clean slate, but if I listened to the facts and both sides' arguments, I think I could. Your Honor, the Supreme Court said in Collins that for a juror to be excused for cause, it must be shown that he or she holds an opinion of the guilt or innocence of the defendant that is so fixed and definite that the juror will be unable to set aside the opinion and decide the case based on the evidence and the court's charge upon the evidence. A prospective juror's doubt as to his or her own impartiality does not demand, as a matter of law, that he or she be excused for cause, nor is excusal required when a potential juror expresses reservations about his or her ability to put aside personal experiences. A conclusion on an issue of bias is based on findings of demeanor and credibility, which are, of course, peculiarly in the trial court's province. Your Honor, in this particular case, the court has heard that this prospective juror is a therapist. The court has heard him say that when asked whether or not he could be fair and impartial, or whether or not his mind is perfectly impartial, he said it would have to be day to day. In essence, what he said is, I have to see all the evidence. I have to see what's presented. He also said, when asked about his bias or any leanings that he has, that essentially he, at his core, he is a visual artist, and something does not sit right with him about the use of lyrics in a criminal case. He also said that he does not know either of the defendants in this case, and that there is nothing, there is nothing that would prohibit him from sitting here and listening to the evidence and the laws the court gives it to him and rendering a verdict based on what he sees and hears and what the court tells him. He answered that he has served in the military. He has already had life experiences where he has had to follow instructions, whether he agrees with them or not. Your Honor, this is a person who has expressed hesitation or leanings in both directions in this case, but most pertinently, I think he does not say that he has any bias against any one of these defendants. It sounds like he will listen to the evidence and render a verdict based on that evidence. He does not sound like he has any prejudice against anyone listed. And I noted when he said that a detective told him that it was related to, his carjacking was related to YSL. Specifically, he said there was no evidence. That is telling because he made the choice to qualify that. And he also indicated that what he was trying to do on his questionnaire was be as truthful and as thoughtful about his answers as he could. And even when he answered questions 11, 12, and 13, the way that he did in a manner on paper that looked like that he has an opinion or a bias, he more than eloquently explained that he does not have any kind of fixed opinion. He said that, I like the way he put it, he said that when he read the indictment, or when Your Honor read the indictment, and the people who have been accused in the indictment came into the room, there was tension in his mind. And he identified that as a therapist as bias. He said he has some ambivalence. He has in no way, Your Honor, stated or indicated that he has some opinion or leaning or bias that he is unable to set aside, or that is so fixed he cannot sit and listen to the evidence in this case and follow the law as the court gives it to him and render a verdict based on the evidence in the law. If this is someone that either side does not want, this person is a perfect candidate for a peremptory strike, but not, Your Honor, for a dismissal or excusal for cause. Thank you, Judge.
Can you just remind me?
Your Honor, very briefly, Carlton Matthews on behalf of Mr. Marquavius Huey. Your Honor, while we understand that this particular juror has issues on both sides, he made every effort to try to make himself rehabilitated or self-rehabilitated. To be fair, the issue here, Your Honor, for the court, in my humble opinion, is that the fact that his particular traumatic experience of being robbed at gunpoint, and Counsel Adams indicated in detail what that consisted of, and we heard that. The issue is that the detective advised him that they believe that it could have been a YSL situation here. That case was unresolved. It's unsolved. So, Your Honor, we believe that because of that very close connection to his traumatic experience, that he even had, I think he characterized MDR, eye movement therapy for, and the tracking device that was put on his vehicle, and that YSL connection that was advised of him by law enforcement. We believe that that place.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. Let me get the other part.
Is him in a unique category of being biased, Your Honor. For those reasons, Your Honor, I would ask that he be stricken.
All right. The court's had an opportunity to take a look at Collins versus State. In fact, I presided over that case, 308 Georgia 608. However, in that particular, in the appellate decision authored by Justice Melton at the time, the issue of bias is based on findings of demeanor and credibility, which are particularly in the trial court's province, and those findings are given great deference. Based on the totality of the circumstances in this case and our juror's unique experiences and the responses that he's given, in particular, the responses he talked about in terms of I could potentially wreck a group, and his training and experience, the court is of the opinion that he does in fact have bias in this particular case, and I'm gonna grant the defense's motion to strike for cause.
Your Honor, respectfully and briefly, I'm going to ask that the court consider that when he spoke, the juror spoke, he said that he did not know whether or not that person.
I ruled already, madam.
Your Honor, I was asking, I'm moving the court for reconsideration.
I'm not going to reconsider it, madam. As you can see from the court, and look, I mean, I have great deference. I mean, the appellate court gives me great deference. And the issue of bias is based on my findings of demeanor and credibility, particularly in the trial court's province, and those findings are to be given deference.
Certainly.
And I'm telling you, based upon what I observed of juror number 78 and his total responses to you all, I just believe that, and for the reasons Mr. Adams put forth on record, which I concur with, and in particular, you don't want to have somebody on your juror that's already told you, I potentially could wreck a group, meaning that I could potentially not do what I'm supposed to and try and influence the other jurors improperly. So that's why I decided that there's bias in this particular circumstance.
Yes,
that disturbs me as your trial judge in this case. You want people that are going to be clear about their roles and responsibilities. I think that he already, from his responses, is telling you that he can't. And it's contingent upon a lot of different things. He qualified a lot of his answers. And to that reason, that's why I'm going to grant the strikes for cause. Okay, Mr. Weinstein, we're going to take your constitutionally mandated break at this time. And you're looking over at me this way. No, I'm just teasing. We're going to take 10 minutes, and then we'll decide where we're going to go from there. Well, I think we have about 3 more people, but I'm going to just kind of indicate you where we were.
Okay, guys, what do you think? What is your opinion on this one? What is your opinion? What do you think? Do you think that was the right decision? Or what do you think? Teresa, what do you think? Teresa, you still in here? What do you guys think? Teresa, you're still here? Sharon said it was the right decision. Yes, like the judge pointed out. Yeah, I mean, the daughter's putting a tracker device in there, and he said it. He said he couldn't even be fair. I think it was right decision to strike him. Yeah, definitely. He had bias, and he could psychoanalyze other people and convince them to switch over. You don't want nobody coming in there like that. You want your jurors to be as unbiased as possible and rely on the case evidence only. He has the training and skill to influence others. Yes, I agree, Teresa. I agree. He knows how to manipulate them to change their mind. Because you heard what he said. He says there are other jurors who could persuade him. No, you tell him what you could be doing. Vivian said yes, and I'm a therapist. Exactly, Viv. Exactly. I didn't know you was here. Hey, Vivian. I think that's why she fought so hard for him. Yeah, she did. She was fighting really hard for him to stay on. Yep. And then they said YSL as being the person, one of the people that did the carjacking. They don't know for a fact because it was in DeKalb County. It supposedly occurred, but then they want to blame YSL on that too. But I thought YSL does things in the Cleveland Avenue area. So that's all I was gonna play for you guys today. I hope you guys got a chance to get a taste of what was, how the jurors are going and what kind of question there is. And that's why there are only 4 a day that's being examined, it looks like, so far. So it seemed like only 4 a day. So this process is going to be long because remember we got over 700 and something people. We're still in the 700. So 700. We're still in the 700 plus. So my prediction is not going to get done no time soon. And in fact, next week we're off all the way until next Friday. So you got stuff happening. And then you don't know what's going to go on with the Trump indictment. So that could cause a delay as well. Yeah, Teresa. Yeah, I think the judge was right on it. I agree with you, Debbie. Oh, you're welcome, Sharon. I just wanted to share. I mean, I'm not going to share every single jury thing, but the ones I thought that was pretty interesting. I wish I could. Okay, let me tell you. I had the footage for the one who was talking about the music, the one that they did not let stay. But guess what? That footage had no sound. No sound on it. I mean, I can play it for y'all, but you won't be able to hear a thing. And so the camera guy forgot to turn the sound on. So it turned out to be dead. So I just hope you guys enjoy, get a feel of what's going on in the courtroom. This is what I've been experiencing every day since I've been going back and forth to court. It's really, really interesting. And I just want to share just a small amount of the individual. One that was approved and one that was not, just to show you the feel of what's going on. Yes, thank you. And it was very interesting. Appreciate you. Of course, Teresa, you know I'm going to be sharing with you guys. Don't forget, they're still going to have that hearing on the 11th of August. You know, the one with the attorney? They're still going to have it. All right. And y'all don't be fooled by these clicks and clickbait stuff that's going on. You know, no, Boosie is not taking a plea deal. No, Mr. Kelly did not initiate that letter. It was done by Bo Brentley's attorney. And no, Ernesto William has not fully been indicted in those charges, additional charges that they talked about in the 15 additional charges in the case. He has not been officially charged yet. Okay. So I just want to, and thank you, Vivian, for your input on that one, because you said you're a therapist, good teachable moment. And thank you for getting good. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Green Eyes. But on that note, guys, I am about to get off and spend some time with the hubby, and we're gonna watch some movies, and I'm gonna go to sleep so I can get up in the morning and do our affirmations, which is the best thing since sliced bread for me. So you guys have an awesome, wonderful night. Enjoy, get some wonderful rest. I hope everybody's doing well. And again, make it a great night, okay? Good night, guys. Love you guys. Bye.